In order to achieve long-term objectives throughout your life, motivation and discipline are two sides of the same coin. If there is anything you want to do, motivation is the internal logic that propels you on a course to do so. Discipline is the amount of work you put in to achieve that objective. Too often, we erroneously think that discipline and incentive are interchangeable. While these two go hand in hand in bringing about change and transformation, discipline is what ultimately advances our mission. For your advantage, we'll discuss these two topics in a bit more depth in our video today. Keep an eye out. Examining motivation. Inspiration and your own internal and external reasoning are the foundation of motivation, which is an inner power. You may stay motivated by focusing on your objectives. This may be inspired or sparked by a number of things, such as your own aspirations, the dreams of your loved ones, such as parents, siblings, or other family members. Motivation is contagious, or by pursuing the joy that comes from reaching a certain objective. Your motivation is what drives you to work for a certain objective. What, therefore, is discipline? Each person's sense of discipline is unique. Despite the fact that motivation and discipline go hand in hand, they don't always. A rough definition of discipline is the method or path you consistently use to reach your objectives. Discipline is the bridge between objectives and achievement, run the proverbial sayings. Oh, let me present today's video characters to you. Meet Joe and Jerry, they are both college students. Both Jerry and Joe are highly clever students who read a lot. Because they both want to be scientists in the future, they are studying for their test, which is coming up soon, and they both read non-stop. This would serve as their driving force to ace the test. After that, Joe and Jerry both agree to a study program, promising to read for 5 hours every day up to the test. They both sat for the exam, and a few months later, the results were released. Jerry came out with a distinction in all of his results, while Joe only managed to pass his exams. This was the discipline that the student was following, but just a few weeks before the exam, Joe couldn't keep up because his motivation wasn't enough to keep him up with the stress. Jerry, on the other hand, didn't give up and he kept following the schedule until the exam day. As you can see, reaching the objective requires both discipline and motivation, each of which has a special significance. But it's crucial to distinguish between the two. Although self-motivation is fantastic, it only offers a temporary lift in momentum that might fade rapidly. However, discipline is a taught strategy for sustaining productivity over time and a direct road to your objectives. On the one hand, just being able to carry out your duties does not equate to being driven toward a greater purpose or sustaining the self-motivation required to carry out your duties even when your willpower wanes. When exhaustion sets in and things start to become harder and harder to do, motivation will be needed to help you complete your objectives. However, without discipline, motivation is essentially useless. The development of discipline through time serves as a model for creating goals-achieving tactics. Discipline may motivate someone to achieve in the face of difficulty. It can motivate you to finish the job you dislike doing, but that is necessary for moving closer to your objectives, and it can keep you going when your motivation wanes. To silence the internal critic, which includes our fears of success, failure, and imposter syndrome, requires discipline. Discipline is required to recognize our flaws and limits, and it is also vital to silence the voice that suggests that we could fail. Being disciplined encourages productivity, builds patience and self-confidence, and teaches you how to bounce back from setbacks. It's interesting to note that research on athletes shows that high self-discipline affects people's drive. If your motivation is reliant on outside forces, you are far more prone to getting burned out and weary by your activity, which may make discipline more taxing. Athletes often have intrinsic motivation, which makes it simpler for them to avoid temptations that can interfere with their everyday routine. Controlling your discipline might affect your motivation. Strong discipline might thus serve as a supplementary benefit by assisting you in staying on track. Being disciplined is much more difficult than getting motivated. The secret to success in any goal-oriented situation is to create discipline to work in tandem with motivation. This requires a little more work. Because the human brain resists rapid change, major, unexpected change often results in burnout and failure. While motivation is great for providing an initial rush of energy, discipline clearly wins the race for maintaining that energy and performance over the long haul. Unlike motivation, it maintains its commitment and hunger for accomplishment. You will gradually raise the baseline if you take baby steps toward being more disciplined. Over time, little adjustments have big benefits, and you'll discover that you've evolved as a person. You may quickly go on a clearer path to your objective by taking regular pauses, practicing positive habits, and reflecting on your previous failures. The key to cultivating a disciplined mind is to maintain a healthy body and mind, practice mindfulness, establish structure and routine, and reflect and evaluate each day. By doing this, one may overcome failure, get rid of ingrained habits and failures, and develop new ways of thinking and the willingness to explore uncharted waters and step beyond their comfort zone. Now that's true discipline. But discipline and motivation are complementary. Your first source of inspiration can be motivation. Self-control may keep you going after you lose your early motivation. Your first reason must convince you that it is worthwhile to commit to self-discipline. When you ask yourself questions like, "What do you want to do?" I believe you discover your motives. Also, what do you wish to avoid? Moreover, why do you want to do that? I believe that when you ask yourself, "What's the greatest thing for you to do?" Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel for more useful and fascinating